Welcome to World Tour with Dee. Can you feel the energy? Because we are standing on the absolute edge of history. This July 4th, 2026, the United States of America officially turns 250 years old. That is a quarter of a millennium. It's called a semi-quincentennial, and no matter how you pronounce it, it is a monumental milestone for the great American experiment. Think about it, 250 years of innovation, of resilience, of exploring the unknown, and of striving toward a more perfect union. We are talking about a nation that started as 13 scrappy colonies on the edge of the Atlantic and grew into a continent-spanning powerhouse that has literally left footprints on the moon. To celebrate America's 250th birthday, we are dedicating this entire video to the ultimate deep dive into the USA. We are going to explore the breathtaking geography that shapes the nation, trace the incredible 250-year history that built it, hit you with some rapid-fire fun facts that will blow your mind, and finally give you the ultimate itinerary of the top places you absolutely have to see. Whether you are an American getting ready for the biggest block party of our lifetimes, or you are watching from across the globe and planning your dream road trip, buckle up. We are hitting the open road. Let's discover the United States of America. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Our USA travel essentials are linked in the description below. Things such as GoPros, USA merchandise, flags, clothing, and travel hack items. Check them out. Part 1. The geography and geology of a continent. If there is one word to describe the physical landscape of the United States, it is boundless. The USA is the third largest country in the world by land area, stretching across nearly 3.8 million square miles. To put that into perspective, you can board a commercial jet in New York, fly west for 6 hours, and still be over the exact same country. You cross 4 distinct time zones on the mainland alone. But it's not just the sheer staggering size that defines the American landscape. It is the mind-bending, almost impossible variety. The United States is one of the only nations on the globe where you can find almost every climate type on Earth right within its borders. And to truly understand this landscape, you have to look beneath the soil. The American continent wasn't just placed here. It was violently and beautifully forged by billions of years of tectonic collisions, massive glaciers, and shifting inland seas. Let's start our journey in the east, where the nation was born. The Atlantic coastline is a study in dramatic contrasts. Up in the far northeast, the shores of Maine are defined by jagged, rocky cliffs. These were heavily scoured by massive ice sheets during the last ice age, leaving behind a rugged coastline pounded by the freezing, powerful surf of the North Atlantic. But as you travel south, the land softens into the sprawling, nutrient-rich maritime estuaries of the Chesapeake Bay, and then the barrier islands of the Carolinas, long strips of pristine sand constantly being built and reshaped by ocean currents. Keep heading south and you arrive in the sun-drenched subtropical paradise of Florida, a peninsula sitting on a massive platform of ancient limestone, home to the Everglades, a slow-moving river of grass teeming with alligators and towering mangrove forests. Just inland from the Atlantic coast, you run into a massive natural wall, the Appalachian Mountains. These are some of the oldest mountains on planet Earth. Hundreds of millions of years ago, before dinosaurs even existed, the world's continents crashed together to form the supercontinent Pangaea. That unimaginable collision pushed the Appalachians up into the sky. At their peak, they were all as tall, jagged, and imposing as the modern-day Himalayas. Over hundreds of millions of years, relentless wind, rain, and ice have weathered those towering peaks down into the smooth, rolling ridges we see today. They are covered in dense, emerald green hardwood forests that hide deep, twisting limestone cavern systems beneath the surface. Moving west, we cross the mountains and descend into the American heartland. The Midwest and the Great Plains are known as the breadbasket of the world, where millions of acres of golden wheat and towering green corn sway under a vast open sky. But why is it so flat and fertile? Millions of years ago, this entire middle section of the country was completely underwater, covered by a massive shallow inland sea. As marine life died and settled at the bottom, it laid down thick layers of limestone and rich sediment, creating some of the most fertile agricultural soil on the planet. This immersed central region is anchored by two massive water systems. First, the Great Lakes in the north. Calling them lakes almost feels like an understatement. These are inland freshwater seas holding over 20% of the Earth's surface freshwater. They were literally carved out of the Earth by glaciers over 2 miles thick. As the Ice Age ended and the glaciers retreated, they left behind massive, deep gouges that filled with pristine melt water. Second is the mighty Mississippi River. Slicing the country right down the middle, this massive winding river system drains water from 31 different states, serving as a historic highway of commerce while continuously depositing rich silt to build the lands of the Deep South. But the rolling plains do not last forever. Eventually, as you push further west, the land begins to violently thrust upward into the sky. Welcome to the Rocky Mountains. Stretching continuously from the Canadian border down into New Mexico, the Rockies are a jagged, snow-capped wall of towering granite. Unlike the ancient Appalachians, the Rockies are relatively young. Roughly 50 to 80 million years ago, a massive tectonic plate in the Pacific Ocean slid underneath the North American plate at an unusually shallow angle. This forced the continent to buckle and lift far inland, pushing these massive peaks into the clouds. The Rockies form the Continental Divide, an invisible geographical line that dictates exactly which way water flows, east to the Atlantic or west to the Pacific. Cross over that divide, and the landscape transforms once again into the surreal, almost alien terrain of the American Southwest. Here, the earth cracks open into impossibly deep canyons like the world-famous Grand Canyon. Geologically, this entire region, known as the Colorado Plateau, was pushed thousands of feet up into the air by tectonic forces. This extreme uplift gave the Colorado River the steep, rushing gradient it needed to act like a massive geological saw, slicing a mile deep through the rock over millions of years and exposing nearly 2 billion years of the Earth's history in its colorful layers. Further north in Utah, you will find thousands of massive natural stone arches, formed when ancient subterranean salt beds shifted, cracking the surface sandstone so wind and water could sculpt it into delicate, gravity-defying bridges. Finally, we hit the west coast. The Pacific shoreline is a dramatic, high-energy collision of land and sea. This is the restless, active edge of the continent, sitting right on the Pacific Ring of Fire, where tectonic plates are still actively grinding past each other along the famous San Andreas Fault. This active geology pushes coastal cliffs straight out of the ocean, culminating in the towering, fog-draped drop-offs of Big Sur. Keep heading north into the Pacific Northeast, and you enter the realm of giants, where misty ancient redwood and sequoia forests thrive in the coastal fog, growing trunks wider than the cars and canopies higher than 30-story skyscrapers. And yet, even after crossing the entire continent, we still cannot forget America's magnificent outliers. Far to the north lies Alaska, a massive wilderness so large that if you cut it in half, both halves would still be larger than Texas. It is a rugged frontier shaped by active tectonics and massive blue glaciers that are still actively carving deep valleys today. It is home to Denali, the highest, most imposing mountain peak in North America. And out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, over 2,000 miles from the mainland, sits Hawaii. This breathtaking archipelago was born entirely out of volcanic fire. It sits over a geological hotspot, a stationary plume of magma pushing up from deep within the Earth. As the Pacific tectonic plate slowly drifts over this hotspot, it punches out islands one by one like a cosmic sewing machine. Today, Hawaii offers lush tropical rainforests, towering waterfalls, and active glowing volcanoes that are still pouring lava into the sea, creating brand new American land as we speak. The geography and geology of the United States aren't just a pretty backdrop. They are the roaring tectonic engine of the nation's story. It is the deep, fertile soil that fed the pioneers, the unimaginable vastness that inspired generations of artists, and the rugged, soaring frontier that continues to draw millions of explorers every single year. Part 2: 250 Years of History. To truly understand the United States of America, you have to understand the journey. It is a story of audacious dreamers, impossible odds, profound struggles, and relentless innovation. And this year, on July 4th, 2026, we stand together to celebrate a monumental milestone. Exactly 250 years since that incredible journey officially began. Let's rewind the clock. Imagine the summer of 1776 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The temperature in the city was sweltering, the humidity was thick, but the political tension inside the Pennsylvania State House was even hotter. 56 men, representing 13 fiercely independent colonies, gathered in a brick building and did something completely unprecedented in human history. They didn't just ask for lower taxes, they signed a single sheet of parchment, the Declaration of Independence, declaring an absolute break from the British Empire, the most powerful military force on earth at the time. By signing their names, these men were committing high treason. They were risking the hangman's noose, but they risked everything on a radical, world-changing idea that all people are created equal, endowed by their Creator with unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Declaring independence was one thing, winning it was quite another. It took a grueling, bloody Revolutionary War, from the freezing, starvation-filled winter at Valley Forge to the daring midnight crossing of the Delaware River by General George Washington. It was an underdog story for the ages, but against all odds, with the eventual help of global allies, they secured victory at Yorktown. Yet winning the war was just step one. Next came the incredibly hard part, building a brand new government from scratch. In 1787, leaders returned to Philadelphia to draft the United States Constitution. They created a democratic republic designed with a brilliant system of checks and balances, a government of the people, by the people, for the people. Shortly after, they added the Bill of Rights, forever protecting freedom of speech, religion, and the press. As the 19th century drawled, this young nation looked westward, and the map exploded. In 1803, President Thomas Jefferson orchestrated the Louisiana Purchase, effectively doubling the size of the country overnight for just 3 cents an acre. Lewis and Clark set out on an epic, years-long expedition across unmapped wilderness, finally standing on the shores of the Pacific Ocean. This sparked an era of massive expansion. Pioneers packed their entire lives into wooden-covered wagons and endured the brutal, grueling months of the Oregon Trail. The California Gold Rush of 1849 pulled hundreds of thousands of fortune seekers westward, creating booming frontier towns practically overnight. In 1869, the Golden Spike was driven into the ground, completing the Transcontinental Railroad and connecting the Atlantic to the Pacific. However, this relentless march westward carried a profound and devastating human cost. The vast frontier that pioneers and fortune seekers viewed as untamed wilderness was already home to hundreds of thriving indigenous nations, as it had been for millennia. As the United States rapidly expanded its footprint, it did so at the tragic expense of Native Americans. Through decades of fierce conflict, broken treaties, forced relocations like the harrowing Trail of Tears, and the deliberate destruction of their ways of life, indigenous peoples fought valiantly to protect their ancestral homelands, their cultures, and their sovereignty. Their immense loss and enduring resilience remain a crucial, somber thread woven permanently into the fabric of the American story, demanding remembrance as we reflect on the true price of the nation's growth. But as the nation expanded its borders, it was also tearing its soul apart. The horrific institution of slavery had divided the country deeply. The American Civil War, raging from 1861 to 1865, was the nation's darkest and bloodiest hour. It was a tragic, brutal conflict that pitted brother against brother. But under the steadfast leadership of President Abraham Lincoln, the Union held. The war ultimately ended slavery, and the United States emerged not just as a collection of states, but as a forged, singular, and unified nation. As the calendar flipped to the 20th century, the United States hit the accelerator and never looked back. This was the era of the immigrant. Millions of people from across the globe sailed past the Statue of Liberty and through Ellis Island, bringing their cultures, their food, and their incredible work ethic to American shores. The Industrial Revolution transformed quiet river towns into booming steel, textile, and automotive empires. American inventors began to change the way the entire world lived. Thomas Edison illuminated the night with the electric light bulb. Alexander Graham Bell connected voices across miles with the telephone. Henry Ford put the world on wheels with the mass-produced Model T, and on a windy beach in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina in 1903, the Wright brothers defied gravity and gave humanity the gift of flight. Through the trials of the 20th century, America's resilience was repeatedly tested. The nation endured the crushing poverty of the Great Depression, only to bounce back and become the arsenal of democracy. Through 2 world wars, millions of brave American soldiers fought tyranny abroad, storming the beaches of Normandy and pushing through the Pacific to secure global freedom. The post-war era brought an economic boom like the world had never seen, but it also brought a necessary moral reckoning. The 1950s and 60s were defined by the civil rights movement. Courageous men and women like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and John Lewis marched, protested, faced fire hoses, and bled. They forced the nation to look in the mirror and finally pass legislation to live up to the spectacular promises made on that parchment back in 1776. Then America looked up. The Cold War ignited the space race, and President John F. Kennedy challenged the nation to do the impossible, land a man on the moon before the decade was out. In July 1969, a massive Saturn V rocket defied the atmosphere, and American astronaut Neil Armstrong took those historic first steps on the lunar surface, proving once and for all that the sky was no longer the limit. Fast forward to the dawn of the 21st century, the U.S. led the charge into a brand new frontier, the digital age. From the humble, messy garages of Silicon Valley came the personal computer, the internet, and the smartphone. American tech companies, alongside American music, movies, and pop culture, have completely rewired human existence and connected the globe in ways our ancestors could never have imagined. Which brings us to right now, to this breathtaking moment, July 4th, 2026, the 250th anniversary. It is a time to stand in awe of the triumphs, to honestly acknowledge the flaws and the struggles of the past, and most importantly, to look forward. Because the beautiful secret of the United States of America is that the story isn't finished. It is a grand, ongoing experiment, constantly being debated, refined, and rewritten by the people. And the next chapter starts today. Part 3, Rapid Fire Fun Facts. Alright, let's take a breath from the deep history and get into some trivia. If you want to impress your friends at this year's 4th of July barbecue, memorize these rapid-fire American fun facts. Let's go! Number 1, no official language. Did you know the United States does not have an official language at the federal level? While English is the most widely spoken, the country is a massive melting pot where hundreds of languages are spoken every single day. Number 2, the Library of Congress. Located in Washington, D.C., it is the largest library in the world. It holds more than 170 million items, including over 39 million books, millions of maps, and endless historical documents. If you laid its bookshelves end to end, they would stretch for hundreds of miles. Fact 3, a high school project. The 50-star American flag we know today was actually designed by a 17-year-old high school student named Robert G. Heft in 1958. His teacher originally gave him a B- for the design. When Congress officially adopted it, his teacher changed his grade to an A. Fact 4, rivers of bourbon. There are actually more barrels of bourbon maturing in the state of Kentucky than there are people living in the state. Fact 5, massive coastlines. The state of Alaska has more coastline than all of the other 49 states combined. Number 6, the deepest lake. Crater Lake in Oregon is the deepest lake in the United States, plunging to a depth of 1,949 feet. It was formed when a massive volcano collapsed into itself thousands of years ago. And the water is some of the purest and clearest on Earth. And fact number 7, presidential trivia. 2 of America's founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, both passed away on the exact same day. And not just any day, they both died on July 4th, 1826, exactly 50 years to the day after the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Part 4, top places to see. Okay, it is time to pack your bags, whether you are traveling stateside specifically for the monumental 2026 semi-quincentennial celebrations, or you are sketching out an epic road trip for the future. The United States is fundamentally built for the open road. It is a massive, sprawling canvas just waiting to be explored. Here is the ultimate expanded bucket list of places you absolutely have to see to capture the true American experience. Number 1, the national parks, the crown jewels. We have to start with the great outdoors. America's idea of protecting its most stunning natural landscapes led to the creation of the national park system, often called America's best idea. Yellowstone National Park, stretching across Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho, was the very first national park in the world. It is a landscape of untamed extremes, sitting squarely on top of an ancient, dormant supervolcano. You've got famous geysers like Old Faithful erupting boiling water hundreds of feet into the sky, vibrant neon-colored hot springs, bubbling mud pots, and massive herds of wild bison roaming freely through lush green valleys. Make sure to check out our video on Yellowstone National Park. Then there is the Grand Canyon in Arizona. Photos simply do not do it justice. It is a mile deep to the 18 miles wide, and was carved layer by ancient layer by the mighty Colorado River over millions of years. Standing on the rim at sunrise, feeling the crisp desert air, and watching the canyon walls change from deep, shadowy purples to fiery, vibrant oranges is a deeply spiritual experience. You also cannot miss Yosemite in California, with its towering granite monoliths like El Capitan, and the Great Smoky Mountains in the east, offering misty, rolling ridges of endless green. Number 2, Washington, D.C. If there is one place to be for the semi-quincentennial, it is the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Is not just a city of politics, it is a living, breathing museum of the American story. You can stand right on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, looking out over the reflecting pool in the exact spot where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his historic "I Have a Dream" speech. You can walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, gaze at the White House, and get lost for days inside the massive, world-class, and totally free Smithsonian museums. But if you are here in July 2026, you are in for the party of the century. The National Mall is transforming into the epicenter of the 250th anniversary. We are talking about the Great American State Fair, bringing the absolute best food, culture, and agriculture from all 50 states right to the capital's doorstep. On July 4th, the Salute to America 250th celebration will take over, featuring massive festivals, decade-spanning musical performances, marching bands, and what is being planned as the largest, most spectacular pyrotechnics display in history, illuminating the Washington Monument and the night sky. Number 3, New York City. Next, we head north to the city that never sleeps. Walking through the boroughs of New York City is quite literally like stepping inside a movie. You have the electric, neon-soaked pulse of Times Square, the sprawling, peaceful green oasis of Central Park cutting right through the concrete jungle, and an iconic skyline of towering skyscrapers that has defined global ambition for a century. But for the 250th anniversary, the real magic is happening on the water. On July 4th, 2026, New York Harbor is hosting an extraordinary once-in-a-generation event called Sail Forth 250. Imagine standing at Battery Park or the Statue of Liberty and watching the absolute largest fleet of international tall ships and naval warships in American history sail right into the harbor. Over 30 majestic, towering sailing ships representing dozens of nations will join a massive international naval review, complete with military flyovers. It is going to be a breathtaking maritime spectacle, honoring America's rich nautical history, drawing thousands of sailors and millions of spectators. Number 4, Route 66 and the Open Highway. If you want the classic nostalgic Americana experience, you have to drive the remnants of the legendary Route 66, also known as the Mother Road. It originally stretched over 2,000 miles from Chicago, Illinois, all the way to Santa Monica, California. Cruising down this iconic highway is like traveling back in time. It takes you right through the beating heart of the country, away from the sterile interstate highways. It is lined with perfectly preserved vintage diners serving up cherry pie and milkshakes, glowing neon motel signs, and the kind of wonderfully quirky roadside attractions you won't find anywhere else, like massive fiberglass dinosaurs, the Cadillac Ranch in Texas, and old restored gas stations from the 1950s. It is a nostalgic, soul-soothing drive that proves the journey is just as important as the destination. Number 5, Los Angeles and the West Coast. Finally, we take our journey all the way out west to the sun-soaked shores of Los Angeles, California. From the winding roads of the Hollywood Hills and the iconic Hollywood sign to the legendary crashing surf of Malibu, LA is the undisputed global capital of entertainment and pop culture. It is a city built on dreams, celluloid, and endless sunshine. And for the 250th birthday, the West Coast is making sure it celebrates in true massive LA style. The city is gearing up to host an enormous America's Block Party concert at the historic LA Memorial Coliseum on July 4th, 2026. Imagine tens of thousands of people coming together in a stadium that has hosted 2 Olympic Games, enjoying incredible live music, world-class entertainment, and a quintessential California celebration of freedom. As we look toward this massive July 4th, 2026 celebration, it is the perfect time to recognize what makes the United States so unique. It's not just the towering skyscrapers or the vast national parks. It is the persistent, stubborn optimism of its people. It is the belief that no matter where we come from, we can build something better tomorrow. 250 years is an incredible milestone, but in the grand timeline of human history, America is still remarkably young. The next chapters are waiting to be written by the dreamers, the innovators, and the travelers who hit the open road to discover this vast, beautiful country for themselves. Get out there, explore the trails, talk to the locals, eat the barbecue, and soak in that history. Happy 250th birthday, America. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you on the next adventure. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell.